I was so scared of leaving my kids without a mum. I don't even know where to start. Probably because some days it still doesn't feel like it happened. On the 27th of November 2023, I had a stroke. Everyone keeps asking me, what were your symptoms? What were the signs? And honestly, there was none. I woke up in the morning, it was a Monday morning, I woke up, I was feeling good, I was well rested, I was well fueled, I was feeling really good, and I went to the gym. I did my usual warm-up, and I got into some relatively light, about 70% of what I can do, barbell squats. And then I started on some barbell RDLs, and I did one set and they felt really good. Then I sat down, I was messaging a client just saying, you know, I'll see you in a couple of hours. I stood up and I felt really, really dizzy. Like I was like really dizzy, and I was like, wow, this is weird. So I sat down on a bench and I kept getting dizzier. And so I sat down on the floor because I thought I don't want to fall off the bench and hit my head. I sat down on the floor and I called my husband, I called Peter, and I said, something's not right, I don't feel well, not sure what's going on. He said, okay, call me back in 5 minutes and let me know how you are. And he said, as soon as he got off the phone, he jumped in the car and he headed towards the gym because he knew something was up. I got off the phone to him, and all of a sudden, it felt like my head was going to explode. I've never felt such excruciating pain in my life. It was so bad, and I'm lying there. I'm scared. I'm really scared. I don't know what's going on. The gym is busy, and I can see some people I know off in the distance, and I'm trying to reach out and be like, oi, like come over here and help me, but they just weren't. They probably just thought I was resting. I kind of almost had my head in between my legs. I managed to kind of get up and half crawl, half walk over to where the mats are, and I lay down and I kind of just went into a ball, and there was a girl working out a couple of mats over, but she had her headphones in and she was watching like what she's doing on her phone, and I'm trying to reach out to her like, help. The pain was so bad. Eventually I called her eye and she's like, oh my goodness, she ran over, she's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not, help me. A staff member was walking and I was like, help me, I need help. The rest is a slight blur. I remember bits and pieces. They called an ambulance. I remember my phone rang and the other girl answered it and told Pete that they've called an ambulance, I'm not well, something's going on. She was really good. She got me like some wet paper towels for like the back of my neck and back and my head because I was in so much pain. It felt like my head was going to explode. Then Peter arrived and they had to call the ambulance again because I started getting worse. I started vomiting, and like I said, the rest is a bit of a blur. I remember the ambulance arrived and they put a line in my hand straight away to get fentanyl in. Didn't even touch the sides. And they got me onto a stretcher. I literally couldn't move, and they put me in the ambulance. They took me straight to Middlemore Hospital where they did a CT scan and saw that there was bleeding in my brain. And so they put me into another ambulance off to Auckland Hospital to the neurosurgery team. Generally, with what happened, it's like 98% of people end up having some form of like brain surgery. The first few days in hospital were a bit of a blur, minus a surgical procedure I had that was horrendous, but I'll get to that. So yeah, I woke up in Auckland Hospital and I had a stroke that was called a subarachnoid hemorrhage, which basically means there was bleeding in the space between my brain and my skull. So my head filled with blood, hence the pressure that I was feeling. It also, the blood went into like my spinal fluid and everything like that, so the pain was also in my back. I had a stroke. With the subarachnoid hemorrhage, I've been told by the neurologists and neurosurgeons that over a third of people die straight away. So I'm very, very lucky. That's what they keep telling me. I'm so lucky, you're very lucky. Although I certainly didn't feel lucky at the time. It was only 4 or 5 weeks prior to this. I had run the Auckland Marathon and had run it really well. I was absolutely at my fittest that I've ever been. I was feeling really good. So for this to happen, I was like, why? Like for the first few days I was like, no, I didn't have a stroke, I just had a brain bleed. And they're like, Megan, you had a stroke. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I did. So in hospital, they put me on medication straight away to prevent me having another one. And then on the next morning, early in the morning, so I don't know what time I arrived at hospital, lunchtime, afternoon, I don't know, they took me to do a CT cerebral angiogram, which was horrendous. I'm not sure if this was more horrendous than the stroke itself. It was pretty on par. So they wheeled me away. I was sedated. I had been on so much morphine and fentanyl, it had not even touched the sides of my headache. I was in so much pain, still vomiting. It was awful. I was so sick, I couldn't look at anything, couldn't see anything. I just had ice packs on my head. And on the back of my neck, I had to be slightly upright to help the blood kind of start draining. But yeah, so they had to do this surgical procedure to see if I was, how high risk I was of having another stroke and what kind of surgery I'd need. And so they wheeled me away into the surgery room, and yeah, I was awake, sedated, but very much awake. And they kind of locked my head into this thing, and I'm on the table, and they've got all these machines really close around my head. And what they did was they cut into the main artery in my thigh and shot different kinds of dye or something up into different parts of my brain to see if there were any further aneurysms and to check different blood vessels. This took over an hour, and it was really weird because they're like, you're gonna feel it, you know, in your tongue now, and all of a sudden my tongue would go really burning hot for like 10 seconds and it would go away. And they're like, right now it's gonna be your eyes, and my eyes, it felt like fireworks were going off, and then it would go away, and this, yeah, just different parts of my head, my skull felt like it was on fire for very brief periods. But then the problem was they went to clip the artery and they couldn't close it. And I'm on the table, completely starkers, 2 male doctors working over me, and I can feel the blood gushing down, like the warm blood running in between my legs. And I'm just lying there, I'm like, okay. And they couldn't clip it. And so the surgeon had to apply pressure as much as he could for over 20 minutes while I lay there, hoping that the artery would close itself, which it did. But then I wasn't allowed to move for at least 6 hours after that. And you know, when you're sick, you just want to curl into a ball on your side. I wasn't allowed to do that. I had to lay there flat, straight, not moving for 6 hours, which is horrendous. Then every hour or so after the 6 hours, I was allowed to bring my bed up ever so slightly. And then eventually, I don't know, 10 hours later, I was allowed to roll slightly onto my side. The bruise, it's been 8 weeks tomorrow since I had the procedure, and the bruise is still there. It was so painful, it was so sore. So I had that on top of obviously the headache and the vomiting. So yeah, it was a pleasant time. I was on ward 83 at Auckland Hospital, which is the high dependency ward, and there was, I'm gonna say 20 beds, but again, everything's a little bit of a blur. I had to be like, it was next to other people, there was other patients everywhere who had had strokes and brain surgery, and we were all having to like have our curtains and stuff open pretty much the whole time so that all the nurses could have visibility over us. So yeah, there was no sleeping. They had to come and take my vitals every hour or every 2 hours. They had to check my vision, my memory, my reflexes, my blood pressure. I had to have blood tests 2 or 3 times a day, and they told me I was going to be in hospital for at least 14 days. The results from the CT angiogram showed that I had no further aneurysms, and I didn't need to have surgery where they were going to clip the aneurysms in my brain, which I was not keen on anyway, so thankfully I didn't have to make any decisions there. Also, I didn't require a drip in my brain to drain the blood because my body was already doing that, and they didn't think I needed it, and I was very against having any surgical procedures if I didn't need them. So yeah, it was just a matter of time then just to see how I was going to recover. My time on the ward was awful, not just because of how I was feeling. I wasn't allowed to use the bathroom or have a shower for the first 4 days, so that was awful. So I wasn't eating because I was vomiting anyway, which thankfully I didn't need to go to the bathroom. But yeah, I wasn't allowed to leave my bed. It wasn't until day 4 that I was allowed to be wheelchaired to the toilet, oh what a day, and have a shower. I was not able to walk properly.
These are my little leg pumpers. They would squeeze my legs at random intervals to stop blood clots from forming.
I had lost feeling in this side of my face. I had a terrible ringing in my ear. My vision was really bad. And I was so scared of leaving my kids without a mum. And I didn't know if it was going to happen again. I was so dizzy. Every time I stood up, the pain in my head was excruciating, because when I was doing anything that would increase my heart rate even a tiny bit would send the blood pumping in my head, and it was so painful. I was on the high dependency ward. It was about day 5 or 6, and I just said I can't stay here anymore. I hadn't slept in pretty much that amount of time. The morphine was making me so sick, so they had to take me off that, because no amount of anti-nausea would stop me feeling nauseous until they put this patch on, which was a godsend. So I said, I need to be moved out of this ward. I can't rest, I can't sleep, my mental health is really suffering. So they found me a room, which was amazing. And from there, I think I slept as soon as I got to the room for like 4 or 6 hours. Even though they came and did their checks, I was straight back to sleep after that. Day 6 in hospital, very wobbly on my feet, so I can't stand long. I've managed to get all the little things that have been attached to me to do all my checks. They're taken off now. This is, I won't show it all, but that is part of the bruise on my leg, because they cut into my main artery to shoot stuff up into my brain to do some checks and stuff. I'm gonna go sit down now because I'm exhausted. I can't even stretch because the pain and the pressure in my head and all down my neck and all down the back of my spine. Even if I try and like stretch like that, or like stretch to like touch my toes, it's like someone's trying to squish a pool noodle up through the inside of my spine, and there's just so much pressure, and it just hurts so much, especially in my head and the back of my head. So that was good. The food certainly wasn't the best. Thankfully Pete was at home making me big bowls of fruit salad, because that's all I really felt like. I had some Subway, some sushi and fruit, and that was pretty much all I ate. I was begging them to go home. I just wanted to go home to my shower and my bed and be around my kids, because I miss them so much. And by this point it's December, so instead of being home putting up a Christmas tree, I'm lying in hospital. But I'm alive, so I'm trying to find that balance of being grateful that I'm alive, but also I'm frustrated and scared and angry. And so I was begging them to go home. Day 7 or 8, they said I'm allowed to transfer to go home, provided I keep taking the medication, which was to be taken for 14 days. And it was every 4 hours, day and night. I had to set my alarm every 4 hours. It kept going off to stop me having another stroke, or to help prevent me having another stroke. At this point I was on codeine and still on the anti-nausea patch and Panadol, and I was definitely reliant on that because of the headaches and the pain. I was wheelchaired out of the hospital. Special. I don't trust you. I'm probably the worst person to do. I know, you are literally the worst person. The car ride home was awful. Mum picked me up and dropped me home. And from there, I spent almost the next 3-4 weeks in bed, pretty much, recovering. Christmas Day looked very different. It was very hard to get my Christmas shopping done. I wasn't allowed to drive for 4 weeks. It was going to be 4 to 6 weeks, but 4 weeks was Christmas Day. And so the next day, Boxing Day, I was feeling okay to do a little trip. So I drove to the supermarket just around the corner, got a couple of things, came home again, and I just started kind of really building on what I was able to do. I've gone over in my head so many times, what did I do that caused this? And I've got no answers. There's no answer that says this is why this happened and this is how you can prevent it happening again. I think sometimes when something like this happens to someone, you have a bit of a life overhaul. You might start living your life a bit healthier, change your diet, start moving your body more, do all the things. I'm already doing all the things. I just ran a marathon. Why did this happen to me? And I was very much in the space of, this sucks and it's not fair, which is okay and to kind of be expected. And I still struggle with that some days. So yeah, I remember being in bed, I would cry a lot. That probably took up a lot of time during the day, crying, because of how sick I was and how bad I felt and how scared I was, and just not knowing how long it's going to take. The doctors couldn't give me any time frame whatsoever on when I'm going to get better, or even if I'm going to get better.
Sometimes it gets a bit much, and I just get so sad at what I can't do, how awful I feel. It's just not fair. I don't understand why this happened.
They said the headaches could last for months, the dizziness months, and look, it's 2 months on now and I still do get dizzy and I still do get headaches. So I had no answers. I had no, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, I'm grateful I'm alive, but I'm bedbound. I'm unable to work, I'm unable to drive. I've completely lost my independence. I can't look after my kids. I can barely get them dressed. They would come and lie in bed with me and that would be it.
Hi. I've got a mum from bed at the moment because I can't get up. So we're going to play in Mummy's room, aren't we?
Yeah,
We're going to play in the bed. What are we playing with?
the bus.
Peppa Pig. Hey, Mummy loves you. I love you.
You do.
I do.
The ringing in my ear was debilitating. I couldn't escape from it. There'd be times that I didn't have a headache, or I was lying down so I wasn't dizzy, or I wasn't nauseous, but that ringing in this ear, which is still there right now, was so loud. And I was, again, my mental health started to suffer because I couldn't escape it ever. 24/7 it was there, and it was so loud. After I left hospital, I started seeking out alternative therapies to try and help myself get better. I did energy healing. I went and saw an acupuncturist that helped immensely with a lot of my symptoms. One of the alternative therapies I'm doing at the moment is acupuncture. And I also have to take these herbs. I have to take 8 of this one and 8 of this one 3 times a day. I'll show you what they look like. Look, they're like little beads. They're really hard too. And yeah, I have to take 8 of them, 8 of these, and 8 of those 3 times a day. The acupuncturist was an hour away. So I had to get someone to come over, drive me there, wait for an hour, drive me home. I'm very grateful to all the people who helped me so much. My community and my village definitely came through and showed so much support. We received so much help, meals, food, help with the kids, whatever. So I am eternally grateful to everyone for that. The outpouring of love and support and kindness that I received from everyone in my online community, I am eternally grateful for, because being able to, when I could go on my phone, read through all these messages of support was so beneficial to my mental health, and it gave me a lot of hope as well. So thank you. I missed out on a lot. We had to cancel a family holiday and birthdays and other things like that because I was unable to go anywhere or do anything for very extended periods of time. I certainly couldn't sit in a car for hours while, traveling to a holiday destination. I couldn't exercise, and it was only yesterday I did my first proper gym session. Slow, steady, half the strength that I was, but I'm grateful that I was back there, and I am so determined to get my strength and fitness back.
Nice.
Just by looking, you do this often. I can tell just by looking up on the door and
I was at Marathon Fitness. I was a marathon runner, and then I was bedbound for a month. So that was hard. It's hard because I love fitness. This is why I'm a health and wellness and fitness coach. I love moving my body. I am so grateful, and always have been, for the ability to be able to move my body, because I see through the lens of so many of my clients, those who can't move the way they want to. So I am grateful, I was grateful that I could, and that was all taken away from me. Training all the time was beneficial for my mental health. Going to the gym, going for a run, didn't just keep me fit and strong and healthy, it kept my mental health in check. So again, that was all taken away from me at the drop of a hat. And I didn't have that outlet. Sometimes I'd be so angry and I just wanted to go and box or go and run as far and as fast as I could, but I couldn't do anything. I was stuck. So that was a struggle. I'm fine now, like I'm so much better in terms of physically and mentally than where I was, but it's been a journey. It's been so tough. It's been so hard. I knew I shouldn't have put mascara on for filming this. So fast forward to today. It's 8 weeks today since it happened. It is the 22nd of January. I did my first workout yesterday. I started back slowly my face-to-face personal training sessions last week, just 1 or 2 a day. 7 weeks today and I am back off to my first face-to-face PT session. I am nervous. I'm still a little dizzy when I bend over and stand up, but my clients are all very understanding, which was amazing. It's so nice to have something to do and be able to be of value and service again, to be able to coach and do what I love, to just go back to the simple things. And for the most part, I would say I'm about 80% back to how I was before. I can't run and I'm probably still quite a while off that, but I'm very hopeful that one day in the near future I will be able to go for a run, and I cannot wait. I still have I have feeling back in my face again. It was very weird because this whole side of my face, especially my ear, I don't know why, but anyway, the ringing is still there, and obviously just the fatiguing and the not being able to do as much, but I'm building up slowly. So just easing back into it, getting back into life. So grateful to be here, so grateful for all the support. I'm sharing my journey, and I've shared my journey on this the whole time pretty much, because I didn't think it was even a thing to have a stroke if you're under, I don't know, 60 or 70, or to have a stroke if you're not a smoker, or I did used to smoke cigarettes when I was younger, but I don't live an unhealthy lifestyle. I live a very healthy lifestyle. I'm plant-based. I have a variety of healthy foods in my diet every day, every week. I move my body 5 or 6 times a week. My cardiovascular health is phenomenal, and this still happened. So I'm just sharing this journey to, I guess, raise awareness that it can happen, and that if somebody who is like me has this happen to them, maybe they'll come across this video and they will find hope in the fact that you can recover and you can get better, and it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. I don't know. I just like to chat. Maybe that's why I'm sharing. I'll leave it at that. I'm sure there's things I've missed. I've had so many questions since this happened, so I hope I've been able to answer most of those for you guys. My next step is just taking it one day at a time and recovering, and trying not to be too hard on myself for why this happened, and for my recovery taking what I perceive as a long time, or the specialists perceive as a very short time. Neurosurgeon said to me last week when I went and saw him, and I was frustrated, and he didn't even blink. He was just like, well, over 1/3 of the people who this happens to don't even make it in to see me, so again, you're very lucky. So yeah, I'm just trying to be kinder to myself, and just know that I'll just keep pushing along. And you know what, hopefully my next video will be my first run, or I signed up for a run or something like that. I'll chat to you guys next time.